What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Skywalker back at y'all with another one on Friday. Glad to be here having this discussion with you guys, yo. For sure. Right, we about to get to it. I want to thank you guys for being in here and rocking out with the platform. We about to have a great conversation today. About to have a not long discussion, but I got some stuff that I definitely want to share with you guys because um, this is a very important conversation for me, and I definitely want to have this and mine this out with you guys as best as I possibly can, at least from my perspective, right? As I said last time, and I will continue to say, um, I do not claim to be right. I'm only claiming to be honest and giving you guys my perspective, right? Here on Friday. And matter of fact, shout out to the Idaho Bag Chasers, who I think is who gave me this shirt. No fumbling Fridays. You dig? I only try to wear this John on Fridays. You know what I'm saying? Much love to y'all, though. Much love. Um, I want to have a discussion today because obviously it's been a lot of things that have been going on recently, and especially just look. First of all, it's stuff going on worldwide, right? Everywhere you look, damn near it's like shit going on. It's protests, it's discussions, people trying to, make their voices heard in terms of trying to shape these um, places and as best that they see fit, and everybody wants to kind of um give their opinions and thoughts on the subject. So I'm just here giving mine, right? Because I definitely enjoy having these types of conversations, and I think that I have a perspective that people may not necessarily take into account, because it's funny because when you look at how a lot of these things are nowadays, people tend to kind of fall in these groups of like, hey, I'm this or I'm that, and they fall in these groups, and it almost is like we're all minorities in some respect, right? But with myself being a black male, black American man, right? That is also a combat veteran and has been around quite a bit uh nationally and globally, right? I think that when it comes to these types of conversations, if I didn't say anything, I think that I would be doing myself a disservice, and I just can no longer kind of do that, right? So just want to let you guys know about that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's cut this music off. You dig? Or actually, no, I was kind of liking that. I'll just turn it down. All right. So yeah, let's get to it. But yeah, I want to first have a discussion because this has kind of been in my head quite a bit ever since the protest was like literally like right on my street recently. It was like literally brought to my front door, and with me seeing like how the entire thing got set up, and like at what times that they were out there setting up, and the coordination and the things of that nature, and also just kind of reflecting on how late that it ran, right? Because the protest was supposed to be from 9 till 11 a.m. So 2 hours, and it ended up being from about 8 a.m. to about well past 10 o'clock at night. And, it kind of had me asking certain questions of myself, like, yo, because I know, right, when people are like, let's say that they're protesting for higher wages at like McDonald's or Walmart or whatever, right? Usually those protests take place at those locations, or like in front of those locations, or just like in places where it would make sense, right? And with my neighborhood not having any like significant amount of ice raids over here, or it not even being that type of situation, and to still see the protests drag on well past 10 o'clock, where people are, look, they were honking their horns and just doing these things all day long and well past 10 o'clock at night, right? And so it got me thinking, like, yo, who who are we actually protesting, right? Like, who are we actually protesting? Because it seems like we're not just protesting the raids or what have you, or we're not just protesting these other, certain things. It felt like we, the neighborhood, were being protested, right? Which would lead me to ask the question, like, okay, well, if the neighborhood is being protested, like this American neighborhood, like why do I feel like we're the ones being protested right now, right? Like, it's our lives that are having to be affected by this situation. Yeah, people with children, people with dogs. I mean, my dog Harley, she refused to even go outside. She peed all in the living room because she was terrified of going outside. Like, as soon as I went to go get her harness, she just was like, yo, I would rather be anywhere else than outside, and literally peed all over the living room floor. And I had to, kind of had that conversation where, like, yo, I know it's crazy out there right now, but you can't do that. Like, that's not right, right? But I could just imagine people with children, other pet owners and stuff like that, right? It's just having to, have, thousands and thousands of people screaming, coming through the city, yelling at the top of their lungs, honking their horns to way past 12 hours. I mean, we were going on like 14 plus hours of that, right? When I noticed past 10 o'clock. So yeah, it just had me thinking, right? Because with me having been in the military and being a combat veteran and having spent time in Iraq a whole year, it really rung a bell, but it was a bell that I didn't think it was gonna ring, right? But that bell was still rung nonetheless, right? And we used to see it over in theater, right, or over in Iraq or Afghanistan. Like, you can start seeing how people end up becoming radicalized. Like, you can just see it, right? I always kind of use the example of, it's like, hey, let's say that there is some combat going on in a certain neighborhood, right? And then let's say there's some innocent people that end up getting killed, right? And if there's like just a boy left, you'll have somebody probably around like my age or a little older come swoop in and be like, yo, hey, look at what happened. Like, they took everything from you. This is why you should come back and come and kind of fight with us and become one of us, right? And then, that happens, and is they don't necessarily tell that young person why that might have been going on in their neighborhood, right? But at the same time, and then next thing you know, that child has something strapped to their chest, and then they're going on. It's like you literally can see and understand how these things play out and how people become radicalized, right? And it was a combination of a few things that, not just watching that protest take place down the street. Matter of fact, and if you guys didn't see it, I'll replay that video right now because I think I still have it up here. Yeah, here was a shot that I recorded live. It was like a drone and all kind of stuff, but check this out. yeah, just kind of watching that, and then I saw a few videos, and then I was like convinced that this is what was going on. And I want to first kind of share that video with you guys, and then we'll come back after that's over, and we'll talk about what we just saw, and I'll kind of give you my thoughts on it, rather.
We want peace! We want peace! We want peace! I'm Ami Horowitz. We're here at the LA protest, which they say is about due process, about peace and love. But is it? Let's go find out. But is this really about due process, or really are we here to overturn the system? And that's not the really important part of this.
I think we're here to overturn the system, for sure.
But is it more about due process or more about overturning the system?
Overturning the system.
For sure.
Yeah, I think we have to overturn the system.
Is the American system the actual problem?
I think you will have to say that at this point, because even when you try to rearrange things, it seems like we keep getting back to the same point of people being oppressed.
Taking down the capitalist system, taking down the white system, taking down the political system, is that our goal?
Yeah, that is a goal.
The capitalist system?
Yes, capitalist
The
system.
democratic system?
Yes.
The capitalist system, the political system, the white system, yeah? Overturn this whole American system.
The whole system needs to go down.
Do we want to replace it with what?
I don't.
Do we need?
That's the thing. This might turn into something else. Those 13, how many countries are being banned from traveling?
Yeah.
They might have something as well beyond this too.
Maybe we go the Haiti system, or
it might spark
Yemen or Afghanistan. Exactly. That might work better.
Exactly.
Do you condemn the violence?
Never.
Do I condemn violence?
Yeah.
I don't condemn people for fighting what they believe is right.
In order to get your point across, sometimes there has to be violence.
Do you really condemn the violence, or do you understand it?
I would stand up against the bully. Somebody's gonna need violence.
So we need violence.
Because we're going to continue to bite the hand that you think the fuck feeds us.
This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of what's yet to come.
Can you condemn the violence, or do you understand it?
I understand.
I understand it.
We need to break shit down before we can rebuild.
Burn it down.
Burn it down.
No one I spoke to at this protest over the course of the entire day deviated from these opinions.
Yeah, not only do I think that a lot of what you guys saw there is like very, very unfortunate. I think it's very unfortunate that people that have kind of like grown up in this country, right? That there's just been this shielding, I think, of reality, right? And like how good we've actually had it over here. And I'll dive into why, right? If you see, everybody there in that clip pretty much was like, yo, we got the whole system got to come down, the entire thing. And then when you ask them, what are we going to replace it with? Nobody had a clue. And you literally had people saying, oh my God, well, some of those other countries that Trump just put on the travel ban, maybe they got some stuff, right? Maybe we should be more like Yemen. Maybe we should be more like Afghanistan, right? I mean, you guys see what I'm getting at with this whole radicalization thing, right? You see how you have people that literally, and I also don't want to make too many passing judgments, but I am like a combat veteran, right? Like, nobody in that clip did I see, do I get the feeling that they'd be like ready and or willing to like really take part in it's just in anything, like if life actually had to become this thing that it seems like they're pining for, right? I don't think any of those people in these clips would be able to feed themselves if we didn't have these systems that we have. Like, it's just crazy to see that, right? I mean, at least from my perspective, honestly, like, it's wild, man. Like, I truly think that this is the great, right? And look, you see these people protesting, right? They are protesting because the American people decided to elect a president that said that he was going to deport illegal immigrants. That is why all those people were protesting, right? I'm going to show you something right here. And I'm going to cut my camera off so that, this video is like nice and clear for you guys. You don't have nothing else holding your attention. This is footage of protests in Mexico because of illegal immigration from Central America. So I'm going to play this. And yes, once again, remember, these are protests. So we're protesting because America said, hey, we want to deport the illegal immigrants. They're protesting because there's too many illegal immigrants in their country. Go ahead and check this out.
Habrá gente que piense, pero no, señor, estoy en un acontecimiento natural, un ciclón, y más sin embargo no se les ha hecho nada.
¡Los prefieres a ellos! ¡Vete allá! ¡Vete con ellos! ¡Aquí no eres bienvenido! ¡Una persona vende patrias aquí en México! ¡No! Se han estado dando eventos de violencia y de discriminación.
¡No los queremos! ¡Fuera! ¡Allá lo están esperando! ¡Allá, allá! ¡No le saquen! ¿Por qué no se van para allá? Allá es pacífico también, pero no los queremos aquí. Bueno, aquí sí les regalas un minutito, por favor. Déjame tomar una foto. ¿Una foto se puede?
¡Jamás será vencida! ¡Tijuana unida!
Can you guys see why this is kind of confusing for me? Like this entire discussion, right? Like look at the juxtaposition. I mean, look, on November 5th, the country had a choice to make, right? You had one candidate in Kamala Harris, who her running mate was Tim Walz. Their vision for America was, hey, we're gonna try to create a pathway to citizenship for a lot of these people that have come across the border illegally these past 4 years and however long before that. We're going to try to make sure we can give them a path to citizenship. That was their train of thought and what they ran their campaign on. And there was another candidate named Donald Trump who his running mate was JD Vance, and they ran on another platform, which was, hey, we're gonna deport as many of these illegal immigrants as we can, up to all of them, right, if possible. That is what they ran on, and the country, in a resounding fashion, voted for Donald Trump and JD Vance. Not only did they win the popular vote, but they also won the electoral college as well. And Donald Trump gained more of like the black vote than any Republican in like a super long time, if I'm not mistaken, and just a bunch of other things. Just pretty much that's where this term, the public mandate, came from. It was, hey, the public resoundingly said, we want this vision, right? Like they had a choice to make. And I know that a lot of people did not like that choice, right? But at the end of the day, I think that when we get to the point that, we're like, one, not only acknowledging anything that's done that's been positive, or like I said before, the recent executive action that was signed with the revenge porn law. There is the 205, I believe, offenders that got caught, right, in that huge thing. There's been, there was talks of like, hey, this tariff stuff was crazy and none of the deals were going to get done. There's been a lot of deals done, up to, I believe that the trade deal with China is even done now, which a lot of people said that that wasn't going to be able to happen and that was going to be done, or like, it just pretty much was just mocked. Everything that he said has been mocked viciously and relentlessly, and it seems to not matter what actually comes to fruition. We just kind of keep the same talking points going. And I think that I just showed you the difference in protesting between here in Mexico, right? Like, and you see what they're protesting for, and you see what we're protesting for, right? And it just seems like these things are, once again, like the American people made a decision, right? So when I see so many people like just going against everything that people voted for and things of that nature, it makes me feel like, are we just here to, like say that America is fucking terrible? And I just don't think that that's right. And I'm going to play you guys something because there's somebody else who doesn't think that that's right. Because somebody else was asked about this situation. And I think that they'd have a great perspective on it as well. So let's see how that played out.
Yourself, you are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing, when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant. I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Yeah. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant that came to America, I was asked to do, on July 4th, a big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, and where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech that they asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate people becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, you know. So you got to do things legal, and those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest, and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can to keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do, rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant, to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
Man, bravo, dog. Bravo, man. With everything that's going on right now in California, one of the craziest things has been realizing is that Arnold Schwarzenegger was a better governor than this is facts, bro. When the governor was in office, wasn't none of this happening in California, bro. This is facts, bro. This is facts. This is stone cold facts, Jack. So, man, but what a speech, because he's absolutely right, man. This is the greatest country in this fucking world, man. And it's like, look, everything that is the greatest can still be made to improve. That is not what I'm here to say. I'm not here to say that America is without its faults and without its flaws and without its things that it does, right, or has done that is terrible. You know what I mean? I would never sit here and say those things, right? But I mean, here's just my perspective on the situation, right? First of all, America is not even that damn old in the grand scheme of things, right? You have whole lot. You got a whole lots of parts of the world that just go back way, way, way further and got way more history and way more shit going on. You know what I mean? And all that. Nah, like it's right. But not only that, but if you look at it, this shit has been. It's been atrocities committed from all throughout human history. The more that I look, the more that I see that ever since man has been man, right? And like, or humankind has been humankind, or whatever however you want to put it, right? It's been crazy shit going on. It's been people doing things, right? Like yo, in this country, it's a huge discussion about slavery, right? It's a huge discussion about the history of slavery and its impact currently on the people, right? That were affected by. I mean, both sides, right? That were affected by it, right? And it's like there are wounds there, right? But it's like, yo, man, slavery goes back. Like everybody's had slaves, right? Like this is not an American invention, right? Like this shit goes back. People been getting conquered, you know what I mean? Ruled over. It's been men doing all kind of crazy shit to women, and yo, that shit's been going on since it's been going on, bruh. Right? And so it's like to act as if, because I'm gonna play a clip from Whoopi in 1 second. So to act as if like these two things, like this is the problem, right? There seems to not be enough discussion about, like, yes, we do still have things that we need to work on, but there is a fucking, in my opinion, there's a chasm between how we have it in like a lot of ways versus other places. And that's not even just our own thing, right? Like you have other places where the censorship is fucking way, you get locked up for a Facebook post, right? You say something about the government, you're going to jail. Right? I mean, these are facts. These are facts. There's places with actual dictators, yo, where you gotta pray to them. That's real. That shit goes on. Yo, there are countries with slaves right now. Last figure I heard is something like 40 million slaves in the world right now. Right now, bro. Right now. So to sit up here and be having this conversation in this very, very, in what I believe, disingenuous way, that is what has lost the look, the people that are upset about what's going on with these raids, like that is where a lot of this conversation, you guys have lost the rest of the country, right? Is that there seems to be like this hurry to kind of like equate what goes on here with like some of the greatest atrocities known to mankind, right? Or try to say that here is on par with somewhere like Iran, where women can't even go outside. Like, and like, yo, it's but hey, let me just go ahead and play this because it's not just me saying this. I mean, this is really the rhetoric that's being said. I mean, but let's talk about it.
Yeah,
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Guys, don't go.
Them niggas are having bombs dropped on them right now. We at this bitch with a school bus.
This is the country.
Now.
This is the country with the most black millionaires. If you look at the Forbes list, 30 under 30, how many black people was on there?
It's no
How many
way.
black people was on the top content creators list? 10 M's plus.
It's no way.
Like what the hell? What the hell?
Did I hear that?
She up $60 million talking about her life hard because she black.
Did I just hear
What
that
the
right?
fuck?
Them niggas getting blown
It's no,
up
it's
right
no
now.
way I heard that right, bro.
Bro, I'm sick of the whole black people are oppressed shit.
I just cannot believe that shit. Not
This shit
if
is
you're
fucking
black.
bullshit. Bitch talking about black people getting hung. What the fuck?
Whoopi, you probably have security. You're Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi
That played
Cushion.
on did she play on The Color Purple?
Yes, man. So do they believe America is still in like the 1940s,
You know what?
30s?
She's stuck in The Color Purple. She shouldn't have played that role. 'Cause that's what's the problem. When you do them slavery movies in the United States, that's the problem right now. They need to stop making slave movies.
Now, while they're being funny and they putting some extras on it, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's part of the thing, man. Like you said, they getting bombs dropped on them right now. And we over here talking about this shit is worse. Being like, it's like, come on now. What are we talking about? Right? What are we talking about? Like, we have to be honest during these conversations. We cannot sit there and have these discussions in a vacuum like this. That's just based upon, hey, because I don't like this one thing about this country or these few things about this country, I'm going to say that being black in America is worse than living in Iran. That is absurd. Does anybody else not think that shit sounds crazy? Is it just me? Right? I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, these things are discussed. And honestly, man, we have the freedom of speech, right? And we have the freedom to criticize our government. We absolutely do. And I want to encourage people to really, you know, express their opinions. But at the same time, I do think that, like, world affairs, I think, you know, there's a real, like, just lack of understanding. And I think it's, you know, it is what it is. And I don't say this because, like, I think that I'm just better than anybody. I just think that, one, me working for the government has given me a different perspective, and also me actually, like, being a part of some of these conflicts and stuff like that, and going to other countries and, like, talking to people and, like, actually getting the, you know, ingratiate myself with some of these people. It's like you really learn about what America's place is in the world. You really do. Like, and I've continued to say this time after time. The one thing that is very, very consistent that I've always heard is that, hey, America is the greatest country. And wait, before I even get to that, you know how I can tell that this shit is the greatest country? Because everybody trying to get, it is so many people trying to get over here. from all of these countries. So here's the thing, right? You got people that are trying to sell you about, hey, this place is so bad and all these other places are better potentially, but then the people that actually live in those places are spending sometimes decades plus committing like so much money, time, effort into trying to get over here the right way, and they're fighting and they're trying to like, you know, save money and bring their children over and get those whole situations worked out and learn a new language and learn about the culture and doing all these things. You got people trying to do that shit. And not only that, but then you got people coming by planes, trains, and automobiles, walking, feet, you know, kayak, fucking carrier pigeons sometimes. No, I'm just joking. It's like they're trying to get over here however way that they can from these same places that I'm being told is so much better. This shit is crazy. Right? And according and like, look, I'm just gonna say this. When it comes to these world affairs, Trump has been right about most of this shit. And people just act like it isn't like these things aren't happening, right? We're like trying to say, oh man, Putin is like, you know, he's thinking less of Trump and he's thinking this and that, blah blah blah. Well, let's look what Putin just said about Donald Trump recently.
He also on many occasions said that if I were the president, there would be no war in Ukraine. And he's right in this regard. And I will tell you why. Because in one of our latest conversations with President Biden, I told him that, well, I'm not going to speak about the details of that conversation, but I told him that we must not bring it to the phase of armed conflict. We need to resolve it via peaceful means, and we need to make the current Ukrainian authorities to satisfy the demands of the citizens who live in the east of the country, to stop the genocide of the Russian speakers, to stop violating human rights there. Something the previous administration mentioned, the human rights authorities mentioned a lot of time.
Right. Right. You know, a lot of these things, man, like, and I have continued to say this. I think that people vote, they voted in a certain way. And I think that people are seeing how the sausage is made, right? That's the difference. Usually these things will be done behind doors. Now you're seeing how the sausage is made right up in front of everybody, right? You're literally having these world affairs being broadcasted in front of everybody, and the discussions are public now and things of that nature, right? But I think that the point that is being lost here is that there is a difference between, and you've seen it time and time again, these world leaders saying one thing and literally doing something else at the same time. Xi Jinping was just saying so many times, yo, like China, we ain't even gonna negotiate with the US. We ain't even about to negotiate with them. And they turned around and had a trade deal done, and not even that. Like, how do you think that these things get done? Right? Is they're not gonna come out in front of their people and say, hey, like, we're really talking to them behind the scenes, and this is working, is like being worked out, right? Trump was also at the G7 conference and said this, right, about Russia being back in the G8.
Together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8, and now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table. So it makes life more complicated. But you wouldn't have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot.
Right? So obviously, that situation seems to be, cooling publicly. Right? So we could be coming to a halt with that situation. Right? And and there's been lots of things being discussed lately, right, that people have just not been taking into account, right? And I've been scourging. I've been going all through social media, and I've been seeing a lot of reactions to these things from like a lot of content creators, right? But right? And even when you look at this Iran thing that has kind of come up recently, right? And I was watching this TikTok, and it was this guy in his truck, and he was like, "Oh, whatever happened to Trump talking about like no new wars, right? What was Trump talking about? No new wars? Didn't he say that?" And I'm sitting there and I'm like, yo, man, like, is this not real life? Like, hold up. But we're gonna look at this, and we're gonna see what this panel says, right? Because I've tried to reading this up, right? But I just Googled, when did Israel first bomb Iran? And the answer to that was the early hours of October 26th, 2024, right? When the IDF struck military targets in Iran, this action was a response to previous Iranian strikes on Israel and attacks by Iranian-led proxies. The strikes were conducted after Israel notified the United States, right? Cool. Right? Now, if you're looking at that, and if you are putting two and two together like I am, the election was on November 5th. So that just explained how they were already fighting. Right? They were already fighting before he got in office. Right? There has been no U.S. casualties. There has been no U.S. forces fighting in this. Israel is using their own equipment, what they would need from us. We have not given to them, which is the bunker busters. You know what I mean? Right? This shit was already going on. This was just another thing that was on the plate. Right? I don't think that we can crash out before, like, look, this is the thing, right? And I brought this up on the last stream about the tariff situation. And I was like, hey, Trump came out and made this big deal about tariffs and set these numbers so high that it's literally not even a discussion now that he low-key got a 10% base tariff for all these countries, right? So you come out, you make the big boisterous thing, right? But really, you're negotiating behind the scenes. You're just putting pressure, right? Now, if we actually got involved, or not even just got involved, right? Because we're already involved to the tune of like we provide Israel with their defensive capabilities, a lot of them, right? Not only do we give them the Iron Dome, but we help maintain that, and there's other stuff that we also provide for them in terms of aerial defense, right? So that is what has been the case so far. And in terms of like us continuing to provide them with all of these weapons, like they've already stated that they don't need us to kind of pop this off, right? They can keep going just based upon their current, you know what I mean, like their current arsenal, right? So, but even with that, let's even say, okay, that we were kind of helping this along, right? Let's even look at that situation. So, I think when you ask people if they would be comfortable with Iran having a nuclear weapon, I think most people would say no. Right? Everybody say, "Oh man," but they shouldn't be able to get nukes. They shouldn't be able to get nukes, right? So, one thing that happened recently, right? Now, we have to be consistent, right? We have to be consistent. I have to be consistent. I cannot like say things about one situation and it literally like the exact same thing happens, like the exact same thing. Like, yo, when Biden was still in office and he okayed Ukraine to strike deep into Russia using ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, I was irate, right? Because not only was that an escalation, but it's just a little fun fact: ICBMs can be loaded with nuclear weapons. 100%, right? That's why it was such an escalation at that point, because neither side had done anything like that, right? So, with that same train of thought, right? Iran has launched an ICBM into Israel, right? So, like, yo, the escalation has definitely happened, and you know, it's not just us that kind of feels like they shouldn't have a nuke, right? Who well, like we recently did a huge deal with the Saudis. I would like for you guys to see what the prince had to say about the situation in Iran getting a nuke.
Arabia.
But I've seen that you called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project in the Middle East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened. I don't want to see the same events happening in the Middle East.
Does Saudi Arabia need nuclear weapons to counter Iran?
Saudi Arabia does not want to acquire any nuclear bomb. But without a doubt, if Iran developed a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible.
Right? So. You got the Saudis saying, hey, if shit go up, we going up too. He said, yo, we don't want to have a nuke, but look, shit, if they gonna have a nuke, right, we gonna get them. So we're literally at a situation where this shit is about to cause major issues. Right? So if they were, with all of the intel that they obviously have, right? With this entire situation, right? If this is what needs to be done, then it's like, yo, as long as this doesn't spill out into World War III, which, if y'all remember, Trump was in office the first time he bombed Iran. Everybody said it was going to start World War III, and it didn't. Right? I'm just saying sometimes these things are bigger than like what we understand and what we think. You know? Like, yo, there's all this talk of like, never mind. Let me not even say that because it wasn't even gonna be no way for me to clean that up. But it's like, yo, man, like everything and look, this is why you guys just should on a lot of these situations just kind of like take a step back. Because if you guys look, I'll give you an example. I've seen so many videos, right? Remember when everybody was like, oh my God, there are reports of at the end of the night, such and such is gonna happen. Oh, Trump's gonna do this by the end of the day. Oh, by the end of 36 hours, blah 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 blah. Right? Like trying to force a quick decision when, like, honestly, this thing does not have to, like, yo, I don't know what it's like. Yo, first it's reports that that they was trying to meet with the president, and then it was like, oh no, well they Trump said nah, unconditional surrender. But then it's like they might have actually been talking. It's like, yo, man, like we don't even know what the hell is going on. That's real talk. We can't on one hand know that Iran getting, like, as he just said, look, y'all just heard it. That is what is called escalation. Matter of fact, well, wait a minute. I will play this video one more time. This is what is called escalation. Okay? Listen.
Arabia.
But I've seen that you called the Ayatollah Khamenei the new Hitler of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because he wants to expand. He wants to create his own project in the Middle East, very much like Hitler, who wanted to expand at the time. Many countries around the world and in Europe did not realize how dangerous Hitler was until what happened happened. I don't want to see the same events happening in the Middle East.
Does Saudi Arabia need nuclear weapons to counter Iran?
Saudi Arabia does not want to acquire any nuclear bomb. But without a doubt, if Iran developed a nuclear bomb, we will follow suit as soon as possible.
Hey, that last statement, that is what is escalation. Like, oh yeah, look, like we don't want one. But if they got one, bullshit. A bullshit, right? Crazy, right? We can't on one hand say, hey, we don't want them to have a nuclear bomb. a nuclear bomb, but then on the other hand say, hey, even though they just like launched a ICBM, which was a threat for sure, 100%. Like, yo, if when Ukraine did it, it was a threat, it's a threat when they did it. You dig? So they launched the ICBM, and then it's like, but don't do anything. I don't know. Sometimes these situations, right? And you got people from Iran that don't even rock with, like, yo, man. That's what I mean, man. It's like, yo, these discussions are so much larger than we understand a lot of times. That is also something that is very consistent that I've heard around this world, is that Americans don't know nothing about history, and we don't know nothing about what's going on in the world, and we just don't understand. So that's how you get us protesting, kicking illegals out, and Mexico protesting, letting them in, right? Like, how do you get that unless it's for, like, what I've heard, a severe lack of understanding of history and of the scale and like what goes on globally and how these things are played a role in, right? Like we had a very clear choice. We had a very clear choice. And to think that, to think that we dodged a bullet in the way that we were, or did dodge that bullet, to be at this space now and having these discussions literally be something where you can just hear like a severe lack of understanding, like that video earlier on that I played of the people, hey, burn it down, tear it down. Well, what are you going to replace it with? Oh, I don't know, maybe a system from Yemen or Afghanistan, right? Like, even though you wouldn't be able to do that shit over in those countries, you think you're going to be in the streets destroying property? Setting cars on fire? Throwing rocks at police? Shooting at police? Do I still have that video? Nah, I took it down. Literally had a guy shooting at the cops. Like, what are we talking about? Try that in one of those countries. Try that shit. Try it. I promise you. But, going forward though, because I don't think it's all doom and gloom, right? I think that if people are willing to really like have conversations with themselves, and not only just themselves, but really just have conversations with other people, because I see such a lack of it's a lack of humility in these conversations, right? Everybody thinks they know what they know, and everybody thinks that they got it all figured out, and like, hey, I would even say, hey, don't listen to me. I feel like I have a little bit more of an educated opinion that you guys have been seeing online. That's for damn sure. I just wish that we didn't treat these things as if they're like content farms. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like we're covering this thing like we're farming for content in a lot of ways, right? Going back and forth, and everybody's trying to have their own special takedown, and look, I went viral for saying this. Oh, I went viral for saying this, right? But then we're gonna sit there and not even acknowledge the things that are really going on, and we're gonna focus on certain aspects of certain things that are happening. And I'm just saying, as somebody who has not only fought for the country, but also signed up because I wanted to test myself and do something dope, right? And that I've gotten a lot of love from everybody, from all races of people. When I used to be in that uniform, when I used to be walking around, I used to hear it, man. I've had people do some of the nicest things for me, man. I've had people buy me drinks, pay for my meals. I had one guy give me his first class seat. He legit just traded seats with me on the plane. Say, yo, you can fly my first class seat while I go flying coach. You know what I mean? It was I've had people do amazing things for me and be super, super generous. And I've always understood that. I've always felt that. I've always internalized it, right? Because there is a respect on a certain level from most people in this country. But at the same time, though, I just think that there's a severe lack of understanding of these global situations, how people around the world actually feel about some of these things. And I think I brought this up on one of the other streams on my channel prior to starting this one. I would say, yo, if you would ask anybody that knows better, right? Because most people over here are not for the Iraq war at all, justifiably so. I mean, we went in there for false pretenses and all that, and I had this entire situation happen. Wasted trillions of dollars. A callous amount of just being callous with people's lives. There was a tremendous amount of lives lost and all that, right? But you guys wouldn't understand unless you were over there being there about how happy that so many of them people were that we were there. You guys have no idea, just no idea. And so I can hear people talk about these things, say, "Oh yeah, man, it was this and it was that, blah blah blah," and we shoulda. But it's at the same time that both of these things can absolutely be true, and that is the part that I have been seeing or not been seeing acknowledged in these situations, right? There's been times where we've done some of these things and the people have has everything that we've done been virtuous and in the best interest of the world and other people's cultures and everything? Absolutely not. But to act as if none of it, right? And that is the point. It's just like I was saying earlier with the Trump situation. It's yo, you cannot be so blind to a situation that if you're actually seeing something that you may not know in the moment is actually the right thing to do, right? But that it ends up being that later. I don't think. See, and here's the thing. I honestly think people keep talking about this World War III thing and whether or not it's going to happen. World War III has already started. The question is going to be: is America going to get dragged into it? That is the question. That's the question. And I think if we don't, this thing ends. And if we do, then it goes on fucking forever. And then we're going to have this future that everybody's been dreading, that they've been setting up for quite a long fucking time. I think it's either one of those two things happening. And I don't think that we're going to do it. So unless that, or until that happens, right? I would say that everybody just, you have to watch what's going on, America made a decision. Right? And it's just funny because you see people 1 minute they love Elon because he's a Democrat, and then he joined Trump, everybody hated him. Then he dissed Trump and everybody loved him again. And then he got cool with Trump, and now everybody hates him again. This shit's crazy. Right? But back to where do we go from here? I think that there just needs to be more humility in these conversations when people are having them. I've been so, like, my life has been so affected by these protests in terms of like what I see on social media. It is so crazy. So crazy. Right? And I'm just seeing all of these things all day. And so many of these conversations are had without that humility, right? And people saying, hey, I might not know the most about politics, geopolitical politics, right? Like I might not know, how these relationships kind of affect one another, right? Like I might not, understand, hey, that, we're just now seeing these fucking world negotiations in front of everybody for the first time. So things might look a little weird, right? But unless the shit actually comes to fruition, which what have they been right about? They were saying gas prices was going to go up. They ain't went up in LA. Matter of fact, they talking about that they going up, but it ain't because of Trump. It's because of Gavin Newsom and him closing these fucking refineries. These 2 refineries that he didn't force to shut down. Right? So gas ain't went up. The only thing that keep going up is the interest rates, and they just came out recently and said they ain't got nothing to do with Trump. That's the homie at the Federal Reserve. So it's like, what has come true? Right? All of these things are happening at the same time, and a lot of these things are more interconnected than you may realize. These trade deals and all that stuff. Y'all don't think that maybe that has something to do with the timing of these protests? And then right after that, this whole situation gets escalated, right? And then it leads to a point where Iran is launching ICBMs, which is saying like, hey, we may have a nuke already? Come on now. Come on now. That's real talk. We need more conversations with humility, right? And it's funny because I was actually talking to the homie Leon, and we was having this discussion. He actually brought up another great addition to this, right? But we were talking about, because I ain't gonna front. When I saw that video of everybody talking about, the system needs to be destroyed, tear it down completely. It's the American system. It's America that's the problem. And I was thinking, I was like, yo, I wonder if we could do like a bill, and if the American people would actually go for this, right? Because I have a solution. I think, because I wouldn't mind my tax dollars going to, I think that we should offer anybody who wants to leave America a free trip out of here. Right? And they just got to renounce they citizenship. And what Leon added, Leon said, yo, and we should also try to like take somebody from that country that actually wants to be over here and try to expedite that process and see if we can get them their citizenship. And like just have them vetted. And I was like, yo, that would be super dope to like trade everybody that don't want to be here for somebody that would want to be here. That's dope. I think it's a win-win. I think the people would go for it. I think people would like actually, but y'all want to know why this would never work? Because these motherfuckers ain't leaving. And you know they're not leaving, bro. He said, nah, because y'all like y'all DoorDash too much, bro. Man. I would also say this, yo. It's important for you guys to break out of your bubbles sometimes. It's really easy. As somebody that has lived in every region of the country, like East, West, South, Midwest, all that, right? As somebody that has lived in a lot of different places in this country, I have seen with my own two eyes how the media can like alter your thinking. I've seen it, right? The news is so different in different parts of the country. It's crazy. And so, you have to always be willing, in my opinion, you always have to be willing to say, hey, I might be wrong about some shit, right? Because like with some of this Trump stuff I've been seeing, like I've seen people criticize him using the National Guard and they're calling him a dictator. And I'm like, I don't know if you guys know, but that's well within the president's fucking rights. He controls the National Guard. And it's like, oh, but the governor didn't want him to. Y'all want to know the last time is that happened? Actually, segregation. And I think just like segregation, when we look back, it was like, hey, that kind of wasn't the right thing, right? That kind of wasn't the right thing, But like, instead of helping the deportation process for people that shouldn't be over here, California, or no, wait, was it California or somewhere trying to introduce some legislation to demask ICE agents. Crazy. They're saying, yo, we want to put federal agents and their identities out on the internet. This is the level of delusion, right? We're so mad that the country decided that they didn't want illegal immigrants in here anymore, that they're going to say, we're going to demask ICE agents. They want to demask federal agents for the world to see. And so they can have their identities revealed and their families, potentially in danger, right? But then the people that are rioting and protesting, it's okay for them to wear masks. You can't make this shit up. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. So I would just suggest that everybody kind of, sometimes take some time to look inward, right? Try to do some self reflection. See, hey, man, do I really understand this situation the way that I think I do? Right? Do I really understand this situation the way that I think I do? Yeah. Look, I'm gonna be back with some more content for y'all. I just wanted to kind of go live and have this discussion with you guys because it's definitely been on my mind. You dig? But we're gonna be back next time with some more talk for y'all. So y'all have a good one, and remember, I ain't saying I'm right. I'm just being honest. You dig? So we'll catch y'all next time. Peace.